You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday the 13th. Woo, boo. 13th day of March, 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. That's reserved for members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. If you've not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll go through the steps of how to take the trial. Now, we're taking a vacation next week, okay? So this is an offer. You won't find it often. And over almost 20 years, I don't think we've ever done this. But anyway, if you sign up for the trial today, we'll get your indicators up and indicating today. You'll have all next week to fool around with the indicators, get accustomed to them, get used to them. And then when we're back from vacation, a week from Monday, you're going to get a full week of the live training room and everything else we offer our members. In fact, so really you're getting, the 1-week trial is becoming a 2-week trial. It's just the first week you won't have any day-to-day instruction. But the second week will be 2 hours of teaching every trading day. But when you take the trial, you're not just getting access to the live training room, you're also getting access to everything we do the other 22 hours of the day. In other words, we treat you like you were already a member, a passport holder, for 5 consecutive trading days. Weekends don't count against you, and there's no credit card required, because we don't want you focused on the money. We want you focused on what's being taught, so that at the end of your trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. So again, stick around to the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern. Michael will walk you through the simple steps to sign up for the trial. It'll take you about 3 minutes. We'll get your indicators indicating today, and then your training will actually begin a week from Monday. Okay, so you're getting 2 weeks for the price of 1, which is free. That's a good deal. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and then come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which, unlike the morning broadcast, this one's open to the public. Everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. Now, there's two different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you got to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of your office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. If you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips because it does allow you to see how we've evolved over the years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen is the schedule for each afternoon broadcast. As I said, Michael will join us top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern, if you're tuned in live. He'll give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, and then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. Right now, we'll start where we always do, with our daily devotional. The topic that we've been on for a couple weeks and will be on for a couple weeks: God, where are you? Today's scripture, John 4, verses 39 through 42. And I'm sharing with you from the NIV translation. Many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. He told me everything I ever did. So when the Samaritans came to him, they urged him to stay with them. And he stayed 2 days. And because of his words, many more became believers. They said to the woman, "We no longer believe just because of what you said. Now we have heard for ourselves, and we know that this man really is the Savior of the world." Now, important to understand, Jews and Samaritans did not mix and mingle back in the day. So this whole encounter with the woman at the well, I'm sure you remember the story from Sunday school when you were just a wee child. I remember with the felt boards and all that. Yeah. This is that story. This is that verse. Jesus had a gift for turning routine moments into life-changing encounters. His conversation with a Samaritan woman at Jacob's well is a perfect example. John 4:4 tells us that Jesus, and I'm doing air quotes here, had to go through Samaria. Now, most Jews would take the longer route around Samaria to avoid contact with these half-breeds. But Jesus deliberately chose the direct path, arriving tired and thirsty at Jacob's well around noon. Then comes the unlikely encounter. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus did the unthinkable. He asked her, "Will you give me a drink?" John 4:7. Her shock was immediate. "You are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" John 4:9. You see, men didn't speak to women in public back in the day, and Jews didn't associate with Samaritans back in the day. Religious teachers certainly didn't engage with social outcasts. The woman was breaking a few rules as well. She came at noon, the hottest part of the day, likely to avoid the other women who would come during cooler hours. Her isolation suggests a troubled past that the community knew all about. You know how small towns are. Now, the conversation he had with this Samaritan woman, he offered her living water, something that would quench her deepest thirst permanently. When she asked for it, Jesus gently exposed her real need. "Go call your husband and come back." John 4:16. Her response revealed her pain. In John 4:17, she replied, "I have no husband." Jesus' knowing reply showed he understood her completely. She'd had 5 husbands and was currently just shacking up with some random guy. Rather than condemning her, Jesus revealed who he was. When she mentioned the coming Messiah, Jesus made one of his clearest declarations. "I, the one speaking to you, I am he." John 4:26. To this outcast Samaritan woman, Jesus revealed what he hadn't yet told the Jewish religious leaders. And in this moment, he goes from outcast, or she goes from outcast to evangelist. The transformation was immediate. The woman went back to the town and said to the people, "Come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah?" The woman used to hide from people. The woman who used to hide from people actually became the town's evangelist. Her testimony was so compelling that many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. John 4:39. Think about that the next time you tell somebody about Jesus. Jesus demolished barriers of race, gender, religion, and social status in one conversation. The gospel's first mission to Samaria came through an unlikely messenger, a woman with a questionable past whom society had written off. So who are the Samaritans in your world? People that others avoid or dismiss. Jesus still breaks down barriers through ordinary conversations. Your willingness to engage someone others overlook could become their pathway to living water. The same Jesus who saw worth in a lonely woman at a well sees infinite value in those that society avoids today. He did it then, and he does it now. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you that many come to believe because of your word. Help us listen to your voice, trust in your truth, and share the hope we have found in you. May our lives point others to you, the Savior of the world. It's in your name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Friday the 13th. Yep. When's the last time you remember having two Friday the 13ths back to back? Been a while, huh? I don't know that I ever. What's going on? Anyway, let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The theme continues. The Dow down 40 points. NASDAQ down 164. S&P 500 down 25. And the Russell 2000 down 11. In the commodity basket, crude oil up just 72 cents today, trading 96.45 last. Gold down $87.60, trading 5,038.20 last. That's a drop of 1 3/4%. Silver down $5.12, trading 79.93 last. That's a drop of just over 6%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 633 points. It's almost 1 1/4%. Shanghai dropped 33, almost 1%. The Hang Seng fell 251, almost 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 50. The DAX down 173. The CAC down 82. Just over 1%. So we had a red day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it's a big red radio Friday here in the US of A. Although the Dow is only in the red by 40 points, and for the Dow, it's not a lot. Now it's only in the red by 12 points. So very possibly by the end of this broadcast, we could have mixed markets or even be in the green. It's possible. The NASDAQ would have to turn around to the tune of 160 points, but don't count it out. It's possible. Got to embrace all possibilities. No matter what you see or think you see or want to see, embrace all possibilities and just trade what's in front of you. Turning to the news, Transportation Security Administration agents are on track to miss their first full paycheck today amid a weeks-long partial government shutdown. Thank you, Democrats. The lapse is expected to prompt more agents to call out sick as they take on other jobs to meet their financial obligations. The nationwide call-out rate for TSA agents is now 6% on average, triple the 2% rate of unscheduled absences before the Department of Homeland Security funding expired February 14th. I don't know how we didn't get that into the one big beautiful bill, but we didn't. Passengers have complained of long lines at airports, especially in Houston. The issue has stabilized somewhat, but could soon worsen, the TSA warns. More than 300 officers have quit since last month. Shutdowns tend to be followed by a wave of resignations and make it harder to recruit. After last year's shutdown, the TSA lost nearly 1,100 officers. Meanwhile, the impasse continued yesterday, as the Senate failed to reach a 60-vote threshold to reinstate the Department of Homeland Security's funding. We're in a conflict with Iran. American men and women are dying in the name of freedom. But the Democrats can't get the stick out of their butt and approve the funding that would pay people. These TSA people, they're not in the big bucks column, okay? Many live paycheck to paycheck. Some are sleeping in their cars. I mean, and it's only going to get worse until the Democrats do something. Or we take over that little island in the Strait of Hormuz, which has been my solution to the problem all along. But, well, who am I? Who am I? I think I already said happy Friday the 13th. Well, Friday the 13th is a date long regarded in Western culture as a symbol of bad luck and superstition, though its exact origins remain uncertain. Historians trace the belief to Christian and Norse traditions, linking it to Judas Iscariot, the 13th guest at the Last Supper who betrayed Jesus, and Loki, the uninvited 13th guest at a divine banquet. Friday's reputation as unlucky likely stems from the belief that Jesus was crucified on that day, and yet we call it Good Friday. Well, it was bad for him, but good for us. You understand the reason why. Despite its reputation, no statistics show the date brings more misfortune than others. Still, the superstition endures, costing businesses hundreds of millions in lost travel and commerce. It has also inspired secret societies, novels, and the Friday the 13th horror franchise. The fear even has a name that I don't even think I can pronounce. Paraskevidika triophobia. Coined by psychologist Donald Dosey, who told his patients, when you learn to pronounce it, you're cured. Okay, here we go. For the superstitious, it's pronounced Paruskividek triophobia. Okay, I'm glad I could clear that up for you. China has adopted an ethnic unity law yesterday. Supporters say the law will promote national identity. Critics warn it could erode the rights of 55 minority groups, which make up roughly 9% of the population. Han Chinese are the remaining 91%. The measure empowers authorities to promote a common culture and discourage customs they deem outdated. It also obligates parents to instill Communist Party loyalty in their children, who are now required to study primarily in Mandarin, China's official language. On the first broadcast of CRN back in 2005, One of the first things I said when we broke the airwaves for the first time was, if you have children, you better teach them how to speak Mandarin. What was that, 21 years ago? Wow. I guess I'm a seer. The change nationalizes language policies. Well, if you live in America, we have an official language. It's called English. And if you don't speak it, you should at least try to learn it. The fact that we allow people to become naturalized citizens in a foreign language, if they still do that, it's just wrong. It's wrong. I live in South Phoenix. A lot of the supermarkets, because we're so close to the Mexican borders, some of the supermarkets you go into, if you don't speak Spanish, you can't even read the signs. And when I call the utility company or any other business, it's like, for English, press 1. For Spanish, press 2. You know, I realize it's a small thing, but it aggravates me. I'm an American, living in America. Why should I not be able to call a company in America and expect them to speak English? Anyway, just one of my own personal pet peeves. I'm sure you got over that long ago. The change nationalizes language policies. The government has been trickling out in minority regions for years. Beyond the classroom, the law makes it illegal for anyone to oppose inter-ethnic marriages, which is made up under 3% of households in 2010 and encourages mixed neighborhoods. Lawmakers say intermixing will spur economic development, but scholars warn it could become legal grounds to weaken minority communities. Problem is because they had that one-child law for so many years, they're running out of workers. They got a country full of old people and no young people to do the work. In America, while we never had a one-child policy, these liberals in the halls of higher education have been preaching against the nuclear family for a long time. You know, they tell our college students that you spend 40 grand a year to send to their hallowed halls. Don't be a dork. You don't want to just sleep with one woman the rest of your life, or one man the rest of your life, if you're a woman. And, oh my God, do you really want to be changing diapers? Have you ever smelled one of those things? They're anti-nuclear family. And that's being preached to our young people. And it's shown up in our declining birth rate. And when you have a country, whether it's the U.S. or China, and you got a whole lot more old people than you do young people in the workforce, it just doesn't end well. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Individuals and organizations inside and outside of China can be prosecuted for violating the law, which experts say offers few objective measures for compliance. So you're not going to skirt that issue. Well, we got the FOMC next week, and a reading on the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge released today for January, before the Iran war, showed inflation remained sticky, reinforcing the case for the central bank to hold interest rates steady for now. I'm telling you, with this grudge match between Jerome and Trump, I would not put it past him to stick it to America and actually raise the rates. The personal consumption expenditures index for January rose to a two-year high of 3.1% on a core basis, which excludes volatile food and energy prices. Well, yeah, nobody uses those. What was all that noise we heard about egg prices and all that noise we heard about gas prices, which both came down incredibly since Biden left office? Even now, with this conflict in Iran, yeah, gas prices are up a bit, but they're still well below the Biden era. Anyway, Cuba's government confirmed it is talking with U.S. officials as Donald Trump uses economic pressure to bring about change in the one-party state 90 miles off the coast of Florida. In a televised press conference today, President Miguel Diaz-Canel said U.S. and Cuban officials have recently met with his full backing and were exploring potential solutions for our bilateral differences. But he added it was premature to offer details, saying any agreement is still distant, but we are in the initial stages of that process. Sounds like they're playing the Iran game. In a written statement released earlier, Diaz-Canel said the discussions are predicated on the basis of equality and respect for the political systems of both states. In case you forgot, Cuba is communist. Trump has repeatedly said his administration is talking to Cuba, but this is the first time the government in Havana has acknowledged the negotiations. I suspect they don't want to get blown out of the water like Iran. Just a guess. Spike in oil prices and growing concerns around private credit, which we talked about earlier in the week, are causing market activity to resemble the lead up to the global financial crisis of 2007/2008, according to one of Bank of America's analysts. Now, those of you that tune in every day, you know I've been preaching this for a while, but I think it's going to get a lot uglier before it gets pretty. I'll just leave it at that. Last from Wall Street, Switzerland is sticking to its existing mandate for trade negotiations with the U.S. that aim to finalize a deal over tariffs struck last year, according to Economy Minister Guy Parmelin. Parmelin was speaking after the United States said on Wednesday it was launching trade investigations into excess industrial capacity in 16 major trading partners, including Switzerland, and into allegations of forced labor. And we will most certainly also consult with these countries to see how to respond to the U.S., Parmelin told reporters at a press conference. Switzerland was subject to the highest U.S. tariffs in Europe when President Trump imposed in August a 39% duty on products imported from the country. In November, Bern sealed an initial deal that cut the tariffs to 15%, mirroring the rate for the rest of the European Union. Switzerland has since begun talks to formalize that deal, which Washington has been pressing to conclude by the end of March. According to Switzerland, the negotiations and discussions continue. Okay. Turning to Capitol Hill. The MAHA-PAC Political Action Committee is launching a $100 million fundraising campaign to bolster Make America Healthy Again candidates endorsed by President Donald Trump in the 2026 midterms. The MAHA-PAC, a Robert F. Kennedy-aligned super PAC, dedicated to making America healthy again, hopes to counter the influence of big pharma, big food, and big ag, which are funneling massive resources to Democratic opponents in a desperate bid to derail the transformative health reforms spearheaded by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President Donald Trump. Now, all the man is saying is that we should eat real food, the stuff God creates, not stuff created in a laboratory. Europe made these changes many years ago. Glad to see that we're at least making a run at it. Hungry dogs run faster, but Fairfax County's leadership is so bloated it can barely move. I'm talking about Fairfax County in Virginia. Contrary to what those overfed dogs would have you believe, the county's problems are not the rest of Virginia's responsibility. On Tuesday, Kyle McDaniel, an at-large member of the Fairfax County School Board, currently embroiled in embezzlement allegations, emailed Fairfax families urging them to lobby their elected officials in Richmond for more funding for their county. It's like Gavin Newsom, okay? He's got this unbelievable deficit in the state of California, and he just keeps digging the hole deeper, but he wants you in your state to help pay their bills. Huh? It's ridiculous. This county has poor leadership. This county should suffer so that the voters are motivated to put somebody into office who will show strong, positive leadership. As the General Assembly works to finalize the state budget, I'm asking you to make your voice heard, McDaniel wrote. Reach out to your delegates and senators and tell them Fairfax County schools deserve a fair return on what we send to Richmond. They already get a fair return, just like all the other counties in the state of Virginia. It's just another example of equity for thee, but not for me. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. All right, Logic 247. It's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude, gold, and silver. Over the last 397 weeks, we've issued over 21,700 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure, a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, so no doubt there will be some updates throughout the day. So this afternoon, early evening, tomorrow morning, she will finalize the recap for the entire week and will post it in the appropriate places as she does each and every week. Since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 77 Logic 247 alerts. It's one of our biggest weeks in a while. It's typically, it used to be between 50 and 70, and then because of market conditions, it dropped into the 30 to 50 range. At one point, it was in the 70 to 100 range. So anyway, when Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, we were still waiting on the outcome of 19 alerts. That gave us 58 actionable alerts, of which 4 or 7% would have been stopped out. Again, based simply on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. The purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you never actually trade a logic alert, use them for the purpose intended, to learn how to read the chart. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, then an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day. In most cases, there will be additional targets and then always a final trade to target. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. If I'm not mistaken, we finished up last week with 7% as well. Again, over 397 weeks. That's a long time, so it's over 7.5 years. We've averaged 20% or less being stopped out. And we've had a lot. The true number is probably closer to like 12%. But I don't like being a chest thumper, so I just always say 20% or less. But it's all a matter of public record, so you're more than welcome to grind through there. And if you arrive at an actual figure you want to share with me, that'd be great. It's a lot of work, though. 7.5 years, 52 weeks in a year. Wow. 397 weeks. All right. Even though that's a very long time, many years before we introduced Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of today's discussion, I'll just say this. They don't come out around the clock. And this is not what they look like. Okay? Well, this is what these look like. The logic alerts look totally different. Like I said, the logic alerts have an entry price, long or short, an initial target, additional targets, final trade to target. Okay? This is a bigger picture view for the entire session. Okay? And instead of coming out around the clock, they're published as a static report, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. You see, the Friday session we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But our traders had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened, before the Friday session began last night. Yes, the S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go to the charts, and we'll start where we always do with the bellwether, the S&P 500 E-mini futures. As I said, the thesis continues, or the theme continues. And what is that? That we could be headed for some troubled waters. Okay. Yesterday, we opened here, closed here. Now, we had a run up right up to the black step line. This is really important to understand. When the black step line gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance. The same is true of red and falling. When it gets directly above price, becomes resistance, like this and this and this and this and this, and now today. So we opened here, ran all the way up to the area we would expect resistance, the black step line. Had we gotten through there, we would have expected it to be at red and falling. Had it gotten through there, we would have expected it to be right there. And had it gotten through there, we'd expect it to be there at the daily BBC, but that is not what happened. In fact, we've gone from a big green candle to a red candle. Okay. Now keep in mind, we've got this big double bottom here. November 21st and March 9th create a double bottom, and the difference in those lows is 1.5 points. Okay. Now, when price hits that, it should be good for a very nice bounce. When the bounce is over and we continue lower, we've got the 24% fib retracement. That should be good for a very nice bounce. Could it possibly reverse the bearish trend we find ourselves in? Well, you got to embrace all possibilities. However, if we hit the 24 and do catch a bounce, when that bounce is over, look at where the 38% fib retracement is, down at 62.36. We're currently trading 66.49. That's quite a haircut. But you ain't seen nothing yet. The 50% retracement would take us down to 59.87. Now, the 24 should give a great bounce. The 38 should give a great bounce. The 50 should give a great bounce if we get there. Okay. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. First, we got to break through this double bottom. But once we break through the double bottom, then chances of us going to the 24 look pretty good to me. Now, breaking that double bottom, what do we got? Okay, we got this area right here. Okay, you see this wick sticking up, and you got these two wicks sticking down. So if we put our crosshair right there, write this down, 65.69. That should be good for a bounce. If we break the double bottom, look for a bounce at 65.69. And then you're going to look for a bounce at the 24. The 24%. It's at the 23.6, but we call it the 24. Or I always have. And it looks like 65.45 is that number hiding back there. So you might want to write that number down. Now, price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green, that line right there. We call it the BBC, just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Below the green line, lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices, higher prices. And now we've been below the BBC going all the way back to February 18th. And you're going, well, wait a minute, that's not below the BBC. Well, it kind of is because it's physically touching. Okay? So you had a leg and a retracement that lasted for, I think, 12 days until we got the candle we were anticipating right here on March 6th. We opened and closed below the BBC without physically touching it. Now, on this day, March 10th, it looked like we might run back up and touch it, but we didn't. And so the downtrend has continued. Now, admittedly, the step line looks like it's starting to hook to the right. Okay. The black step line crosses red and falling. We could see a retracement back to the BBC. However, if there's no rally into the close today, then on the Sunday night open, this black step line is going to kind of straighten back out. No matter what market you trade, no matter what time frame you use, the clock on the wall is always price. Okay? That's what really matters. Not a bunch of squiggly lines. Although our squiggly lines do help make things quite simple. So, better get a move on. Run out of time quick. All alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The vertical line separates today, Friday. Here's Thursday. Here's Wednesday. Back here's Tuesday. Okay. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. Carved in stone. Now, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, we hit the highest weekly trading zone on Tuesday. And on that day, I said to everybody, keep in mind, based on our history over the last 16 years, when we hit the highest or lowest weekly zone by a Tuesday, there's a great probability, not possibility, probability, that by the close of business on Friday, will be very close to the other end of the spectrum. Now, I don't expect this to drop all the way to the lowest zone, but as you can see, after touching the highest zone on Tuesday, yeah, we're certainly substantially lower now, from 68.48 down to 66.58. All right, so the targets that I showed you a few minutes ago, okay, the CTAs that I said all of our traders had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay, these are them. Okay, so this was the opening candle last night. We pulled up to the BBC, pullback holds more often than it doesn't. And so down we go, and we hit the short target pretty much to the tick. If you go look left, you'll see why. It's not a secret. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. Where did it find it? At the CTA long target. Now that long target, I can show you without having to scroll anywhere. You see this bearish cross right here? That's when the red line gets below the green line. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Now this was the 9:30 opening candle, so there was a lot of exuberance, so we did spike it by just a little bit. This candle found resistance at the weekly zone 23/24. So did this candle. This one in the middle right here, the 9:30 to 10 a.m. 30-minute candle, hit that sweet spot. This is so important that you learn this. A bearish cross that leads to an extended move. First time price revisits the area. Almost always good resistance. And as you can see, we closed back below that zone. So we hit the short target, we hit the long target. Now, we're kind of just hanging out. Looks like price wants to push back up to the zone where it's going to run into resistance times 2. The BBC and red and falling. And if you throw the zone into the mix, it's really resistance times 3. So any one of those individually would be potential resistance. The zone, the BBC, and red and falling. But what do we have? Resistance times 3 in this area. And as we know, the pullback holds more often than not, so that will likely create another leg to the downside. If by chance buyers get bullish and start buying, remember it's institutional traders that move price, not you and I. If we trade through the BBC and trade through red and falling, right here where blue turned to red, that's potential resistance. And then the high of this candle right here, that's potential resistance, 67.16. And then the zone, 23/24. And then, of course, the long target and the high of the session. Beyond that, you would then be looking at where blue turned to red yesterday and also the high of yesterday. Okay? So you plan your work ahead of time. You don't have to stare into the crystal ball and say, I wonder if the market's going to go up or down. Plan your action for if it goes up and plan your action for if it goes down. Then, whichever way it goes, you already know what you're going to do. It's kind of simple. Here's the Dow. As you can see earlier in the week, we didn't make it all the way on the Dow up to the highest zone. But Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, from those lofty highs, we're now sitting on this zone. Here's where we opened last night. We ran up. See how red and falling turned to blue and climbing? Now, we know the pullback holds more often than not. Look at all these pullbacks. It held and held and held and held and held. But when you've got this much blue and climbing chasing price, that's when there's a greater possibility that price will actually trade through the BBC as it did here, okay? Because of all this blue and climbing. And where we find resistance at the zone that was published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Resistance will always send the market looking for support, which it found here. Scroll left, you'll see why. Support sends the market looking for resistance, which we found at the zone. We spiked it a little bit, but closed below it. And then we spiked it again, and we even spiked the long target by just a little bit. The long target was based off this high right here. Okay. I didn't think price had the potential to get here. So I picked this. Okay. Now we hit it. Now, on this initial move last night, that's plenty to get your goal for the day. And this move to the downside, plenty to get your goal of the day. So we've basically gone from zone to zone, back up to the zone, back down to the zone. And if we continue lower, look for potential support here, where red turned to blue, 46,620. And then look for potential support here, 46,495. Then 46,470. Now make it 65. And then you'd be at the short target. All right, I think I hear Michael creeping around there in the background.
I am here. Yep.
All right, so when I come back, guys, we'll pick up with the Russell, which we haven't got to just yet. But I do want to show you one thing real quick, Michael.
Okay.
I could have done this later, I suppose.
Well, you showing me.
Anyway, this is what I was going to show you. Here's how we look on the daily. Now,
Okay.
last night, remember we looked at that double bottom? from the low of November 21st to the low of this past Sunday night, March 9th. And the difference in these lows it's 1.5 points. So we had a candle last night that we ran green all the way up to the black step line. And there was obvious resistance. And now it sent us all the way back down to here. So unless some mystery rally comes in from somewhere as we head into the close today, I'm going to look for a bearish open Sunday night, unless Trump intercedes and does the right thing and drops some special forces on that little island in the Strait of Hormuz, and they hang up a sign that says the strait is open for business.
And run by the United States of America.
That's right, as it should be, along with the Panama Canal. Okay, yes. You can bring your charts up if you're ready.
Okay, all right, I am ready. Ready here. All right, there it is. It should be. Do you see it okay? Okay.
My mic off. Yeah, it looks good.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday the 13th. Today, well, if you have not taken a free
I gave the history of Friday the 13th at the beginning of the broadcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, nobody really knows. And no one has ever been able to compile data that, you know how they say emergency rooms fill up when there's a full moon?
Yeah.
I had an uncle who worked in an administrative position in an emergency room many years ago. And he said it was a true thing, that they would even bring in extra staff on a full moon because they knew they were going to get hard with everything from gunshots to car wrecks but they've not been able to compile any empirical evidence regarding Friday the 13th as being unlucky, as the superstition goes. So anyway,
go ahead. I mean, you think about it, if people think that it's unlucky, you think it into being.
Oh yeah,
a lot of things. So I used to think, Friday the 13th, I got in a car wreck one time on a Friday the 13th. So then every Friday the 13th, I'd just be kind of overcautious, and I got another car wreck on a Friday the 13th. So then it became a thing for me. But I'm over it now. But for a while there.
One of the beliefs from historians say that that Judas Iscariot was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, the disciple who betrayed Jesus. And so, and then there's a couple other things but anyway, bottom lines, there's actually the fear of Friday the 13th has a name. Psychologist Donald Dosey. When you learn to pronounce it, you're cured. Paruskivi deku triufo bu. Yeah, so I'm cured, I guess. All right.
Yeah, you're cured now. You're safe.
All right, take it away.
All right. Let me just make sure that I did update this. I thought I did yesterday. Yeah, I did. I checked it this morning. Yeah, okay, it doesn't really matter anyway because I'm not going to be here. But here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 13th day of March, 2026. It's the second month in a row with a Friday the 13th. So, that's some history we got to figure out, Dwayne. When was the last time we had 2 months in a row, Friday the 13th? I bet ChatGPT knows. Anyway.
Has your ChatGPT slowed down?
I haven't used it in a couple of days.
Lately, when I ask it a question,
oh man,
it seems like it takes forever for it to bring. On my phone, it's instant, but in my browser, and another piece of news: Bank of America, one of their chief strategists and analysts, says to him the market looks like it did just prior to the 2007/2008 crash. Yeah. So a lot of
Yeah,
analysts turning bearish on the whole picture. I'm no
something
longer
behind that.
the lone voice crying out in the wilderness. Other people are starting to believe it too. So,
And like I just said, you think it comes to being a lot of times.
yeah.
Oh, I just noticed a few minutes ago I cut myself and I didn't know it. And I just noticed I'm bleeding.
Oh.
And it's on my thumb. You'd think I'd have known that. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't notice. I just looked down and got blood all over my thumb.
Well, when you get done, put some kind of antibiotic cream on it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
All right,
I actually sliced right into my fingernail.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll be here when you're done.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I say that again. Today is Friday the 13th of March, 2026. If you have not taken a free trial of this and you want to, go here and click on the purple button. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to the registration page that I just showed you a minute ago, this one. This has all this stuff for next week. What it will really get you, the room's not going to be open next week, but it will really get you access to the indicators. So you have that all week next week. You can play around with that. You can watch the videos. If you go here, go to some of these videos right here on the homepage at mytradingiq.com. Watch videos, get your stuff on your charts, get prepared for when we do come back a week from Monday. And then you'll have another free week with the indicators. All right. So if you sign up for the trial now or anytime next week, you have it until, I believe, the date would be the 27th. Okay. All right. So that's all that. Now, today in the room, we had a pretty good day, but it wasn't easy. It started out rough. I was down 2 stop outs on the ES and 1 stop out on the Russell to start out the session. And we ended up coming back after it all, but it was rough at the very beginning. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures. I'm bottom of 131 ticks on the NQ, 77 on the Russell, 99 on the YM, and we're more minus 14 on the ES. Now, the closest we got to 0 on the ES was minus 4 ticks. We're pretty close to getting back to break even on the ES, but we never did. We're negative the whole session. That put us at $1,360 per contract on the morning, and we took 35 minutes this morning. As I said, we were down 2 trades on the ES and 1 on the Russell to start out the session. 35 minutes and 17 trades to get to the goal for the day today. At that point, we're up $1,125, and we took a total of 36 trades with 6 stop outs. For 83.3% of our trades were break even or better. So on the month, we are now at $14,150 per contract over 10 business days, averaging $1,415 per session. And we have 5, 6, 7 business days left in this month. So that should be plenty to get us up over the $20,000 mark. On the year, so far we're at $58,402 over 47 business days, averaging $1,242 per contract per morning session. The 2420 blueprint, we took a hit today. It took forever and a bunch of trades to get just over the goal for the day. So now on the year, if you quit trading, when you get the goal for the day, you would be at just under 6 hours and you'd be up $12,720. That's not per contract, that's total. Now that is, you wouldn't be up that much, you'd be either more or less, but that takes all my slippage, and that's what all my slippage comes up to anyway. So averaging $2,125 per hour. Okay. All right, let's get into the trades, and then we'll see if we have any time left for trading. We'll start out with the Russell. Go all the way over here. And the Russell, let's go all the way over here. Okay. So our first trade of the day, as I said on the Russell, we stopped out minus 25 ticks. Then the next one, we picked up 5. Then we picked up 5 more. And then we had a pretty good trade then. We had a 19 tick trade that got us to +4. And then we had a 30 tick trade that got us to 34. And then we had a 13 tick trade got us to 47. And a 20 tick trade got us to 67. And then we ended with a 10 tick trade that got us to 77. And that was all we did on the Russell this morning. It's like a big period there where I didn't trade at all between 10:50 and 11:30. Huh. That's all we did on the Russell. So the Russell was pretty good to us today. The YM, it was pretty good to us too. The last couple of days, the YM has been a challenge. So. But let's go back to the beginning. This guy, oops, back to the beginning. Ooh, I went way too far. Okay, so the YM, we were positive on the YM the whole session. It's the only market we were positive. No, I guess we were positive on the NQ the whole session too. On the Russell, we ended at the high of the day for the Russell, I think, right? Yes, that was the high of the day for the Russell. And we ended at the high of the day on the YM too. All right, our first trade here on the YM, we picked up 16 ticks. Then the next one right here, I picked up 20 ticks. Now I have that highlighted because I took it here, I think. And that wasn't actually where the trade was. The trade would have been from over here. But I think I got in the wrong spot. That's why I have the off color there. But I picked up 10 more ticks. So we're at 20 at that. I'm sorry, I'm looking for one. We picked up 20 ticks on that. We were at 36 at that point. And then we picked up a little bit more to get us to 43, then went to 60. Then from 60 went to 65, 65 to 71, 71 to 78, and then 78 to 89, and then 89 to 99. So somewhere in here, I think there was one trade that I forgot to mark. It's a 10-tick trade, but we ended with 89 to 99 right there. And we don't have any trades right now on that guy. Okay, that was that one. Now the ES, we were negative on the ES the whole session. So we'll go back to the very beginning where we stopped out on our first trade, then on our second trade, then we got a little bit, then on our third trade, and then on our fourth trade, something like that. We got pretty close at one point to getting positive, but all right, so this was a mistake on the first trade here. I shouldn't have taken the trade because we didn't come out of the oversold, and I took it and I stopped out, minus 10. This was a valid trade. I took it and I stopped out, minus 10. So we're at minus 20 at that point. This was not a valid trade because I didn't come out of the oversold and because this didn't go full cycle. But I took it and I got 5 ticks. I got me to minus 15. Then I got 4 more there that got me to minus 11. Then I stopped out again. I got me to minus 21. Then I had a break even. From minus 21 to minus 10. So I had an 11 tick trade there. That was our big trade. That 11 tick trade was a big trade. And I had a plus 1 there, got me to minus 9. And right here was pretty close. We got 5 ticks there, got us to minus 4. Look at that nice move. That was a great move right there. Got to minus 4 at that point, then a break even, and another break even, and then we stopped out again. That got us to minus 14, then another break even right at the end. I was trying to let that one run because I needed 15 ticks to get to positive, but it just didn't go for me. That is how we ended it with the ES. And I'll go all the way to the end and see if we have anything right now. Yes, we do not have anything right now on these. Okay. So let's take a look at the NQ. You know, I just had a thought about something. I'll go into it when I get back from vacation. Right, on the NQ, we didn't have that many trades at all, comparatively. We normally have more trades on the NQ than anything else, and we had the least amount of trades on the NQ. I don't think we traded the NQ for the first half hour. Here we are, first half hour. Not a single NQ trade until 10:12, so the first 41 minutes we didn't trade the NQ. Our first trade on the NQ, we picked up 10 ticks, then we picked up 10 more to get us to 20. Then we picked up, it looks like 11 to get us to 31. Then we had 2 big trades in a row. That one went from 31 to 85, went from 85 to 130. And then we stopped out and we went down to 116. It wasn't a whole stop out. That was kind of weird the way it stopped me out there. We went down to 116. And then we had a couple of small trades, went from 116 to 121, 121 to 131. And that is where we ended with the NQ this morning. Okay, so it was an interesting day on the NQ. That one stop out, I think it should have probably given me profit on it, but it ended up taking away 12 ticks. Anyway, you know I have a 36 tick stop on my 39 range chart. And where that stop out was right here, See, it pulled back. My entry wasn't exactly at the close. My entry was somewhere right in here. It was somewhere right in here. And it stopped me out right about here. And my stop out is 36 ticks. It didn't stop me out for 36 ticks. It stopped me out for like 14. And then it ended up going back down. So I don't know what happened with that whole process right there. But anyway, it took me out. And that brings us current. All right. So we don't have trades anywhere, but everything is in the green. Now, I'm sure Dwayne, we just looked at this a second ago. This right here. It ran up here. My black step. Oh, that's the mid band. That's not the black step line. Okay, so it ran up here to the MA1 and also the black step line. They were in the same place here today earlier. Ran up and it found resistance there. The BBC is up here, so it didn't make it up to the BBC. And I was calling yesterday for us, if we're going to continue going down, to get all the way down here to 64.17. If we really are rolling over, if this really is a rounding top, which it looks like this past month right here. Since the beginning of the year, really. Yeah, December. Yeah, the middle of December. It's a rounding top. Now, if this is a shoulder and this is the head, this would be the other shoulder would be building over here. You could call this the shoulder right here, but I think we might build the shoulder up at this level up here. But we'll probably go down and hit this level before we do 65.30. Now, this that I drew right here was based upon the last leg length from here to here. From here to here, I guess. It's from there to there. I think that's what I was looking at. Something like that is what I was looking at. But this is where it should go, is what I'm thinking. And we'll see. We'll see how it works out. You know, we're just going to trade what's in front of us. Up, down, doesn't really matter. The beauty of trading futures. Day trading, scalping. It doesn't really matter. I want to remind everybody who's in here again. I know Dwayne's already said it, but I am not going to be in next week. So the morning session is not going to be happening. Okay. All right. So right now we are pulling back to the mid band everywhere. This is not a trade here on the ES. It's already, you see how it changed from green to white right there? So it's already come out of the oversold. All right, same thing here. It's already come out of the oversold. This already came out of the oversold. So we don't have any trades here right now. The Russell is the closest. Right now, the Russell could turn into a trade. And, you know, for usually when we have a down day like this, my scanner thing gives a whole bunch of longs or call looks for the next day. This is what it looks like right now. All puts for next week. All puts. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of about 30 calls. So everything suggests it's going to go down. It may go up a little bit before it does, but it's suggesting it's going to go. We're just going to trade what's in front of us. All right, so the low on this right now is 77.8. So you'd be buying 79.8. There it is right there. There it is right there. It slipped me 3 ticks. I had just put it on when as I was saying it to you, I had just put it on and it slipped me up actually 4 ticks up to 80.2. Okay, now this needs to go up to 81.2 to bump my stop to +5. There it goes. Stops at +5. +10. And this is the only one that's trading right now that's giving us a trade. All right, so we have 10 on the Russell right here. And that was a really simple trade. You all could have taken that one with me. I was able to tell you ahead of time and all that stuff. I never did go back and see for sure what those numbers should be the day before yesterday. I'm not going to screw it up today. Today is day 65, 3, 14. That was the Russell. 10. $50, right? Was that our day yesterday? That seems excessive. I think it's right. I'm gonna go correct all that stuff. How much time do we have? We only have 10 minutes. Let's see, 11 minutes this time. This goes to 65. Beat up to $3,450 in yesterday's session. I don't remember getting that much. Is that math even right? 60 on the YM, 34 on the NQ. Minus 10 on the S, that's not right. That isn't right. That's 500. That's 820 minus 125 per contract is what I'm saying. That number's not right. Something's off about it. I don't know. I'll go back and check it later. But for now, we have a trade setting up here on the ES. We have a trade setting up on the NQ. We get today's information right. All right, we may be too far away now on the ES. It's going to be very close on the ES, the NQ, the YM is also right there too. They're all very close. Okay, so now the ES and the NQ are not a trade. The YM, if it closes down, is not a trade either. All three of those just disqualify themselves. They all just got too far away. Now this one actually closed. The mid-band switched on this one. It's starting to go on this one too. And now it just flipped the YDR. I think all of them would flip the YDR right here. If we do have another trade, it'll probably be a short trade. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. And that one flipped. This one's flipped. This is almost a short trade here on the ES. Okay, now we need a down close on the NQ. Down close on the NQ, 10 points from the top of the bar is what you sell. The high is 46.25, so we set 36.25. Yeah, chunky. All right, and there'll be a no trade there on the NQ. It's too far away now. Yeah, I'm just waiting.
All right, sorry.
Yep.
I had taken my headset off for a bit.
That's okay. I'm just waiting for something to happen here. I was looking for all these trades. We almost had long trades everywhere. Then we almost had short trades everywhere. We didn't get anything anywhere. So
there's a term for boxers called cauliflower ear.
I
guess traders should probably have a term too, because we wear these headsets for so many hours a day.
Yes, we do. Yes, cauliflower. Those wrestlers too get that.
They should create a stand-up mic and then some speakers you can mount on your wall or wherever you want. And that mic is programmed to, of course, pick up your voice, but it's also programmed to not pick up anything that comes out of those speakers. That would require no headset. Just a little microphone standing on your desk. And
Alexa kind of do that.
you could hear everything,
Siri.
that's being said. I'm sorry.
I was thinking, doesn't Siri doesn't Siri learn your voice?
Well, it's not a matter of learning my voice. It's a matter of I could hear because right now, if I just used a stand-up mic and I put some speakers on the wall on each side of my big screen, every time I spoke into the mic, it would create feedback because the sound coming out of the speakers would also go into the mic.
Right.
So that mic has to be somehow told digitally through lines of code to not capture audio from XYZ speaker. I wish I knew how to make stuff. I would go in my garage and make that today. And somebody in China would knock it off. So
yeah,
that's the point.
Tomorrow. Yeah. They're probably making it right now. Somehow they probably just heard what you said.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's in production as of this moment. As long as you have your phone turned on and your TV turned on and plugged in, nothing is private.
My wife's computer is downstairs in the kitchen at the island where she sits, and she has the hardest time staying connected to the internet. But our TV, which is like around a corner, even further from where you would think, the Wi-Fi would reach, it never misses a beat. So, and I have one of those extenders in the hallway because the router's upstairs, and everything works fine down there. So I guess it's just her computer. So. And she has and it's weird because it's a laptop that I bought her years ago for Christmas, and it says that it's running Microsoft 11, but for some reason, that version of Microsoft 11 has expired, and her computer can't be upgraded to the next version. So, I got to do something because she's sort of like,
in limbo.
And well, she's naked on the internet. I mean, I got malware bytes installed and all that, but yeah, that's I gotta take care of that sooner than later.
All right, well, we basically just ran out of time here too. I thought we had 3 trades setting up right here on the short side, but everything just moved too far away. All 3 of those look like they're going to be short.
I hope I didn't cause you to miss them.
No, nothing. The markets were. I would have said something. I would have said, okay, there's a short here or whatever. But nope. No, I don't know how you fix that. Maybe install a different version of Windows 11.
It says it can't handle the newest version of Windows 11.
Oh, okay, probably. No,
I suppose I could just let her use my fancy laptop with 64 gigs of RAM that I still haven't got up and running because there's always something to do, and man, I'm gonna definitely do it tomorrow, and tomorrow doesn't come.
Yeah.
And mess around, and that thing won't be able to be up. I gotta get my money's worth out of it. It was such a screaming deal. But anyway.
All right. Well, I guess we are gonna. This is kind of a long trade here on the ES. It didn't actually hit the mid band, so it's not really. All right, well, I guess I'll just wrap it up with what we have for today then. We're up $500, 10 ticks on the Russell with 1 trade, 0 stop loss.
So nothing to sneeze at?
Nope. It's 1 good trade. That's really all we had in this session. So this average number, I got to go and make sure the last 2 days, I go and look at the videos of the last 2 days to make sure that I have those right, because I don't think that the numbers on this day are correct. The numbers on this day, I'm sure I entered them incorrect, but that number doesn't add up to these numbers. So my formula, for some reason, does not seem to be working out for that. 60 ticks on the YM. That is $300. 34 ticks on the NQ. That is $170. So it's $470. Minus 125. 470 minus, that puts us 345. I guess that is right. $245 times 10 contracts, 3450. Okay, I guess it is right. All right, so that is right. But it's the day before that's in question. Yesterday was good, but the day before is in question. So today we ended up with $500. And this is pretty close to right. It might be a little more. I think it's a little more than that. But we're averaging 15 minutes a session in here, and we are getting our goal for the day in those 15 minutes most of the time. You know, out of the 65 sessions, I think 60 out of 65 of those. No, wait. Okay, out of those 65 sessions, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of the 65 sessions we didn't. So that's about 80%. Right about 80% of the time we're getting the goal for the day. You know, we're averaging the goal for the day for sure, but we're ending positive 80% of the time, it looks like. Anyway, if you haven't taken a free trial with us and you want to, again, I'm going to be out next week, but the free trial will go from now until the 27th, I think. Yeah, from now until the 27th. All right, so you have the indicators from now until the 27th. Go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button, fill out the form. All right. And that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to Fabulous James Arizona in Studio A.
Well, let me say, I have done a tremendous amount of soul searching. And as I said and asked myself repeatedly, when's the last time you actually took some, real time off? And the word of the Lord spoke to me and said, if you can't remember the last time, it's probably time.
Yes.
So now here's the other side of the coin, guys. When I don't follow my daily routine, I actually get kind of nauseous. And I've been coming to this desk every day to do this since 2008, with the exception of when my mom died and my dad died. I was off a little bit there. So I don't plan to be here next week. Now, if my whatever issues I have mentally or psychologically overwhelm me, I might put it in the discussion group that I'm going to do an afternoon broadcast or something. But I'm going to try to see what it's like to have 5 consecutive days without this, and to see how my body, how my mind responds. So, not saying goodbye. I'm just saying, if things go according to plans, I'll see you a week from Monday. So,
Okay.
all right. Let me take the charts back.
All right.
Yes, Kyle. Thank you. That's good advice. All right. I'm taking the screen back. All right. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 35 minutes and 17 trades to get to $112.50 or $1,125 with 10 contracts.
Way to hang in there.
Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy today.
The fact that I was forced to get into that Schwab account, and then I sent the forms to the CPA, and he said, "Oh, that's not even enough to worry about." I said, "But it says, even if it's 1 penny, you gotta report it." He goes, "Trust me, we don't need to worry about it." I was like, "Okay." So anyway, I do have an avenue for options.
Okay.
I guess I have an avenue for options through StoneX. I've just never pursued it.
Futures options, and that's a whole different animal.
They don't have single stock
They
options.
do, but you got to set up a different kind of
separate account. Okay, so I've already got an account where I could. So
yeah,
I may spend some of my time next week, looking into that, seeing if I got a mind for it or not. But
yeah,
anyway,
look at the stuff that's in the channel. I'll be putting a little bit more in there today, but then I'm not going to be. I think I'll be done until next week.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff I can go in there and read and study and try to get up to speed.
Videos and stuff.
But way to hang in there this morning. See, guys, it's not always easy. You don't always get it on the first trade. How many trades again did it take
to get the goal? 17.
Yeah. Now, think about it. Some of us, I know lots of people. If they get 3 stop outs, they're out of there. They just can't. So
that's what I started out with.
So
2 on the yes and 1 on the rest.
Yeah. So that's something that every trader psychologically has to overcome, because there's no way around it. There is no holy grail, no magic pill, no indicator, oscillator, AI, guru. There ain't nothing, nowhere, no way, no how that will stop you from ever being stopped out again. The only way to never get stopped out is A, never trade, or B, never use a stop. And, well, we know how that ends up.
Yeah, then you only have 1 trade.
Yeah, that's it.
Be in it all the time.
So, Michael, you be safe. You've certainly earned your time off times 10. So I hope you and Jada have a wonderful, wonderful time. And
thank you.
If you need me for something, of course, you know how to reach me. If you need me to do something, you know how to reach me. And otherwise, I'll see you a week from Monday.
All right, that sounds great. You take some time off too. Go and do something.
Yeah, I'm going to do something. All right, buddy. Thanks.
Thanks. See you guys.
All right, guys. Here's a look at the daily chart, but that's not where we're going. We had already covered the ES, where we hit the short target and we hit the long target, and now we're just kind of consolidating sideways. Okay. Now we hit the highest weekly zone on Tuesday, and for over 16 years, that's been our history with weekly trading zones. If you hit the highest or lowest weekly zone by Tuesday, chances are you're going to be close to the other end of the spectrum by the end of the week, by close of business on Friday. So I don't expect this to drop substantially further today. We could even put in a little rally, but as I outlined earlier, we got a weekly zone right overhead. We got red and falling directly above price. That's huge potential resistance. And then you've got resistance times 2 at the zone and at the BBC. So I already covered those in detail, but just for those who weren't here, yesterday afternoon we hit the zone here on the YM, and we went from zone to zone, and then on this, well, we opened last night and ran straight up to the zone like a heat-seeking missile. And when price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When it drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. We overshot it today, and I encourage you to go look left, scroll over, see what happened, see why that was an important price, important area. And then we ran up all the way to the long target and even spiked it a little bit. Now notice on this candle, we spiked the zone and closed below it. On this candle, we spiked the zone, hit the target, okay, which was based off that high right there from yesterday. Okay, that's market structure. And then the third candle failed to close above the zone, and then the fourth candle closed below the BBC. And since then, we've just been consolidating at the zone. Only one of 3 things happens when price encounters a zone. 70% of the time is consolidation, 20% of the time is rejection, 10% of the time, the slice. So, unless Trump makes some kind of announcement or something on the world stage happens this afternoon, I suspect we're just going to just stroll into the end of the session rather quietly. It certainly looks pretty quiet right now. Now, where we left off earlier, when Michael joined us, we had gotten to the Russell. So here's where we opened last night. We made a run up, and we got right to these highs from yesterday. Okay. But because we had that high impact news this morning, just on the chance that it might actually be good news, which I know is a rare thing these days, I put the long target up here where we had a little bearish cross. Okay. Obviously, I didn't need that, but that was my thinking. So as we consolidated along the BBC, unable to take out those highs from yesterday. Now, keep in mind, see those wicks sticking up? That's bearish in and of itself because price runs up, but it can't stick. So we opened last night. We ran up to those highs from yesterday afternoon. Couldn't take them out. So we get below the BBC. Blue and climbing turns to red and falling. And where does it take us? Right down to the short target. And then on the next candle to the zone. Now keep in mind, these zones were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And my plan at the moment, unless I leave town sooner, my plan this is rollover weekend. So all of your indices should go to the M contract. ESM 26, YMM 26, RTYM 26, NQM 26, okay? So as long as I'm still here Sunday night, I will put the new weekly trading zones out for next week. I don't think I've ever missed a week on the weekly trading zones for over 16 years, so I'll do my best to do that. Now you'll see right here where blue and climbing turned to red and falling, just below that zone. Look at this high right here. That high is 25, basically 22. There's 2 points from touch of the zone. And right there where blue turned to red, 25, 22. So anyway, zone resistance. Resistance always sends a market looking for support. So we hit the short target again. And we've been consolidating sideways now for 1, 2, 3 hours. That's 6 30-minute candles. Right along the zone that was published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. Right or wrong. Okay, the NQ. We never got to this one, but we shall. Here's the open last night, right at a weekly zone. Red and falling, turned to blue and climbing, sent us up to the BBC. We know the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So it held and held and held until blue and climbing turned to red and falling, and then we dropped. We consolidated at the zone for 3 candles. Then on the 4th candle, we actually closed below the zone. Then we had a candle open below the zone and below the BBC. So this candle opened. Come on, talk to me. It opened at 550 and it dropped to 476. So that's basically 75 points at $20 a point. So that's $1,500 per contract traded in that one candle right there. Okay. Now it opened below resistance, okay, which is the black step line. And then right above that, you had a zone and red and falling and the BBC. So in your mind, there should be nothing to think about except going short. Okay. And we ended up hitting the short target, finding support at the zone. Now, when the market finds support, it's got to go find resistance. Initially, it found it at the zone, consolidated at the BBC, and gave us a leg and a retracement. The pullback to the BBC held right there, and then it sent us all the way up to the short target. Like a thing of beer. Look at that. Obviously, and I hope this makes the case. Okay. When the red line gets below the green line, that's called a bearish cross. Okay. And when you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. Okay. So that's the long target is simply based off the bearish cross. See, that's how simple market structure can be if you'll just put in the time to learn. And the purpose of the logic alerts, of which we've now published over 21,700 over the last 7.5 years, and we've averaged 20% or less being stopped out based just simply on market structure. And this week, when I gave the recap earlier in the broadcast, we were sitting at 7%, but we still had a lot pending. So Valerie will update and finalize the recap this afternoon, early evening, or at the latest tomorrow morning. But I mean, that right there, that is so powerful. If you're not using that, well, give it a chance. Okay. All right, so we hit the short target, we hit the zone, bounces to the long target, then we come back to the zone, and we've been consolidating sideways now for 1, 2.5 hours. Okay, but it's starting to look like it wants to break the low of the day, and if so, the next zone's down at 24,299/24,300. If we scrunch it up, what do we have in here that would be potential support? 24,369, write it down. 24,323, 24,317, and then the zone. And then right here, you've got a bullish cross right at this zone. Okay. Now, this is Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. That was the Sunday night gap lower open. Okay. So it just so happens that there was a bullish cross created right at this zone. And so price is always trying to get to a zone. If it's above the BBC, it's trying to get the zone overhead. If it's below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Also, the zones have sort of a magnetic attraction to them. In other words, price is attracted to this next important area. Now, keep in mind, when I created these zones, that bullish cross had not happened. Okay. That didn't happen until about 4:30 a.m. on Monday, March 9th. And I do the weekly trading zone Sunday night as soon as the market's open. So, again, potential support right where we're at, right there, what I just showed you. And then potential support at that low, and then the zone, which is also a bullish cross, that makes it support times 2. From 24,350, what's the low so far? 24,353. So 24,350 to 24,340. That would be $200 per contract traded. That's how I roll. So now you can combine my discretionary methods with the rules-based trading you see in the live training room. You use the discretionary to give you the big picture outlook, okay, where you should anticipate potential support and potential resistance. That's why I publish the logic alerts, to help you learn to read the chart and understand where potential resistance and support is. And if you simply draw horizontal lines, you'll go, oh, okay, that's why. Oh, okay, that's why. And anyway, looks like price wants to get there. Now, because it's a zone and has a bullish cross way back over here, might be good for a bounce. The black step line has hooked to the right. It hasn't crossed red and falling, which would indicate a retracement to the BVC. But if it just continues to fall, then on the next candle, that step line is going to straighten back out. So keep an eye on it. Crude oil. Crude oil. It hasn't hit, it did hit the short target. Here's where we opened last night. And we made a run up to an area where I would not have been looking for resistance. Okay, you see way over here? To me, that looks like clear sailing. I would have expected that to make it all the way to the zone, just based on looking left. But again, the market does not always do what you think it's going to do. I mean, after 21,700 plus individual handcrafted alerts, on average, 20% or less get stopped out, okay? So you've got to develop that mindset. It's not if you get stopped out, but when you get stopped out. You need to understand, did the market just do something you didn't expect it to do? Or was there something that you should have seen, should have known, should have caught? Maybe you placed a trade right when news was coming out. Maybe you didn't look left to see that price was just about to run into an area that would normally be potential resistance based on market structure. Okay, so you can deconstruct unprofitable trades to see what happened, and once you get fairly handy at reading the chart, you'll learn to quickly go, hey, that's the one that got away, you know, like in fishing. The market just simply did something other than what I would have anticipated under this particular given set of conditions. And for so many traders, that is one of the most difficult things to accept and to work with. You heard Michael just earlier this morning, took him 17 trades to get the goal for the day, which is $100 per contract, or with the 10 contracts he trades is $1,000. Took 17 trades. So that means you've got to ask yourself, you know, am I going to just walk away at some point, knowing I'm going to have to make it up at some point to get back to net positive? So do I stretch it out? Do I agonize over a week? Or do I just keep trading until I get it done? Now, for someone who's new, part of that equation has to be account size. See, many people don't have an account size large enough that it would handle, you know, more than 3 or 4 stop outs in the course of a day. So that's something you should really give thought to. You want to have, at least 5 grand in your account. 10 makes it a little more comfortable. Doesn't mean you get footloose and fancy free and just, well, I got plenty of money in my account, I'll just take a shot. No. That's not the reason. The reason is so you have a safety net in case the day comes along where it takes 17 minutes or 17 trades to get your goal for the day. Now, those days should be very rare. And keep in mind, Michael is watching 4 markets at one time, and he's trying to teach and trade at the same time. So left to his own devices, his outcome for the morning could have been different. But this is someone who you see put up positive results day after day after day after day, but then along comes a day, out of the blue, took 17 trades. So you got to decide how you're going to handle that. Now, Michael and I's response, which most people don't like, has always been, keep trading. When do I walk away? When's enough enough? Well, ultimately, you have to make that decision. But the bottom line is, here, I got to type something in over here. The YouTube connection got lost for a second, so I just told everybody to refresh the page. All right, so anyway, so crude, here's the high of the session. We've almost got a double top there, okay? I'm pretty sure I had a CTA last night that it probably triggered, because I put the alerts out before the open, it probably got dealt with here. But here's the thing, the market loves to repeat itself. So that same trade, which would have been the first long trade on crude last night, it's happening again. This candle right here opened at 96.71. Come on now. From 70 to 20, that candle right there is $500 per contract traded. That 130-minute candle right there. If you got in at the open of that candle and you rode it to the top, to the double top, $500 per contract traded. Now, a lot of Wall Street's freaked out, calling for $150 barrels of oil. And I'll admit they're smarter than me. They went to college, they got a license, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think so. I think maybe we see 113 one more time, perhaps. Okay. And then we're back into relatively short order, back into the 70s. But that's just my take. Okay. Do your own due diligence and always consult with a licensed investment professional before making any investment decision. All right, gold got killed today. Sorry to say. Here's where we opened last night, and we dropped like a heat-seeking missile to the short target. The low was 50.58.2, so we overshot it by like 7 ticks. That's pretty good, right? Now remember, our members had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. So if you sold way up here, and just even if you just stayed with it to the zone, from 51.24 to 50.82, that's 40. From zone to zone is like $4,400 per contract traded. Plus the rest of it, when this candle opened, it continued the trip to the short target, and then it bounced all the way up to the zone resistance, sent it all the way back to the zone support, which sent it all the way back to the zone resistance, which sent it back to the short target. The step line is crossing red and falling, so just maybe we get a retracement back to the BBC. And just maybe this will be the time it trades through. But if it does trade through the BBC and the zone, if price moves higher, and I don't know why it would at this moment, but it could. You got to embrace all possibilities. You got a bearish cross around 50.90, so expect that to be good resistance, at least the first time up. If it happens tonight, if it should happen Sunday night, whenever price gets back to 50.90. If it gets back to 50.90, you should expect good resistance first time up. After that, 51.08. All right, last but not least, silver. Here's where silver opened last night. It ran up to the zone, the BBC. You see right here where the black step line crossed to the left side. It's basically this area right here where these highs are. And then everything rolled over, dropped to the short target, through the short target, down to the zone at 81.38, almost to the zone. 81.38.39 is the zone. Then we bounced all the way back up to 84.58. And then we dropped again to put in a double bottom with Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Sunday night. See that double bottom we got going? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday / Sunday night. This low is this low. So if you were in a short trade on the way down, should you have been expecting support there? You should be expecting it, but not necessarily demanding it, because, well, let's face it, we have no control over what the market does. The institutional traders are the ones who move price, and they don't consult with us. What they like to do is get us trapped. You know, there's so many failed breakouts to the upside and the downside, and that leaves a lot of trapped traders. And the deep pocket institutional traders just gobble them up. So, but the step line definitely has crossed red and falling, but we gotta overcome. Now, right there, we failed to overcome the zone, failed to overcome the zone, failed to overcome the zone, but hey, you can always hope. Maybe we can get back to 82 bucks. We'll see. All right, one last look at the daily chart. That puppy is heading lower. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. She will email you all the information you need and instructions on how to become a member. And then if you have any additional questions, She'll be happy to email back and forth with you or jump on the phone with you and answer any questions you may have. Just get the ball rolling with an email to support@cfrn.net. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up for the week here with our good word for the day. Keep calm and carry on. Yeah, we won't be here next week, so keep calm and carry on. God does have a sense of humor. Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. During World War II, the British Department of Information designed 3 home publicity posters. The first said, "Your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolution will bring us victory." The second said, "Freedom is in peril." The third and most famous said, "Keep calm and carry on." The department printed 2.45 million of the third poster, but they were never publicly displayed. That motto had all but vanished from Britain's consciousness when a bookstore-owning couple in Alnwick, Stuart and Mary Manley, discovered an original copy of the poster at the bottom of a box of old books. Now, again, these posters were printed up during World War II. And if I had to define a movie genre which I am most drawn to for reasons I don't even understand, is Britain, World War II, not on the battle lines, but back at home in the village. If you have access to PBS, there is a limited series called Home Fires. Man, is it good. I actually paid $5 to PBS for the ability to watch it a second time. I used to have a cable service that included PBS, but now I'm on the Google TV and it doesn't. So I paid my $5. I've watched Home Fires for a second time, and so I guess I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it. They are the ones behind Masterpiece Theater. They do. I know they're liberal, but they do produce some pretty decent content. Oh, and on Netflix, I know I mentioned this earlier in the week, Downton Abbey. If you never watched it, watch that first. Then they made a movie. Then I think they made another movie. But they just added to Netflix Downton Abbey, the final something. But it's well, you know what? I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't watched it. But if you're a Downton Abbey fan, you got to watch it. And if you never watched Downton Abbey, go to season 1, episode 1. Trust me, it's worth paying PBS $5 to gain access long enough to watch it. And then, you can watch it all in a month in your spare time. And then you can cancel if you're not a fan of Masterpiece Theater. So anyway, back to our good word for the day. Keep calm and carry on. I already talked about those posters and that movie genre that I'm drawn to. Moving on with Pharaoh's chariots bearing down on Moses from behind and the Red Sea in front of him. He was between a rock and a hard place. That's when God gave Moses these instructions. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14, 13, and 14. That sounds an awful lot like keep calm and carry on, doesn't it? What would be the hardest thing to do if Egyptian chariots were charging straight at you, full speed? To be still. When we find ourselves in this sort of situation, we want to do something, anything, even if it's just run. We have a nervous energy that tries to solve problems as quickly as possible. But these are the tests that reveal trust. Sometimes God leads us to a place where we have nowhere to turn but to Him. Is that where you are today? Then trust God's power, love, and faithfulness, and He will bring you safely through it, whatever it is. And that's our good word for the day and for the week. Again, Logic 247 alerts. No, I'm sorry, not Logic 247 alerts. The weekly trading zones should come out according to their normal schedule, Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. They will reflect the rollover of the indices. The ES, the Dow, the Russell, and the NQ are all going to the M contract, June. Okay. And beyond that, I'll see you a week from Monday. Okay. Take care. May God bless you. Thanks for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.